come and share a very exciting announcement, one that I'm very proud of, and the incredible continued partnership between the Columbus City Schools and the City of Columbus. First of all, I want to thank Sam Orth, our Director of the Department of Technology, Mike Stevens, our Director of the Development Department, our great Superintendent, Dr. Talisa Dixon, the School Board President, Jen Adair, and President Pro Tem Liz Brown and her colleagues on Columbus City Council. We know our city is suffering greatly from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. We continue to fight a health crisis with a spike in cases in the last few weeks. We're also fighting a human service crisis with more people than ever struggling to meet their basic needs for housing, food. And we're just beginning to feel the full impact of the economic crisis, with job losses and businesses closing. Perhaps no one has been more disrupted by this pandemic than our children, with schools closed and moving to online virtual learning. As I've said before, COVID-19 has magnified, exposed, maybe even exasperated the disparities and inequities in this community and communities around the country. We know that the inequities and disparities are great, and we know that it's only through our commitment collectively, the equity agenda that I shared at the State of the City in February, that we can help all of our students and families reach their full potential. Virtual learning shined a bright light on the disparities in our community with respect to education. Those left without access to technology have been, to a great degree, left behind. The schools and the city, that unacceptable. But even before the pandemic, Superintendent Dr. Dixon and Board President Jen Adair knew the future of education. Through their portrait of a graduate work, they began to plan for virtual education, moving students beyond the confines of the classroom. Long before the virus closed our schools, Superintendent Dixon spoke of the importance of a one-to-one computing, technology available for every student. She spoke of schools as hubs for innovative teaching and learning. When the pandemic struck, the district was left without enough devices for students or ways for them to access them. They had a plan and a vision for what they wanted to do, and they had a long-term plan to get there. The short-term plan they developed on the fly with their collaborative spirit. Henry Kissinger said the task of the leader is to get their people from where they are to where they have not been. The district had never been here before. None of us have. They had to go from point A, their comfortable routine where all students were in school, to point B, having to provide a quality virtual education to 50,000 students. That's a big ship to turn, a big challenge to take on in the midst of this crisis. But they knew they had to. They absolutely could not let their students fall behind, our students, our kids, our families. And they got through the end of the school year with students learning and teachers teaching. But they didn't sit back and take a breath because they knew they had to go back. They knew that back to school would not be the same. They began reworking their short-term plan, and they never let go of their vision beyond their immediate needs. In May, the city received $157 million in CARES Act dollars from the U.S. Treasury to provide assistance in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. And let me just take a moment to thank once again Senators Rob Portman, Senator Sherrod Brown, and our Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. We would not be here today making this announcement in partnership in collaboration with Columbus City Schools without their incredible leadership and ongoing support for us here in Columbus. Today, I'm happy to announce another historic partnership with Columbus City Schools. The city will provide over $7 million to assure that every student has a device on which to continue their virtual learning. And the district will make sure they have the technology and the capability to access them. Our funding and their commitment to providing access will provide 20,000 more students right here in our city the tools they need to succeed in this unprecedented time. As we continue to battle this pandemic on many fronts, we must not lose sight of the future. And we must make sure that each of our young people has access to it. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our great partner. I always say that I am partner in chief to the superintendent of Columbus City Schools because so much of our equity agenda, early childhood education, academic achievement, preparing for work and for careers is so closely connected to the work of Columbus City Schools. And so to our great partner, I want to introduce our superintendent, Dr. Talisa Dixon. Dr. Dixon?
Thank you so much, Mayor, for your partnership, your advocacy. You've been wonderful. The City Council have been wonderful. So thank you. As you stated, technology and digital learning will be critical components to the future of our schools, pandemic or not. CCS's continued partnership with Ginther and Columbus City Council is critical as we ensure equity in education for all of our students, both in the short term during this pandemic and in the long term to drive student achievement. I am appreciative of our ongoing partnership, which will benefit all of our students and their families as we work to balance the educational needs of our students with health and safety guidance during this ongoing pandemic. Columbus City Schools is committed to being a leader in technology, and that is why this funding and this partnership is so critical for the success of our educators. These devices will allow CCS students to access our online curriculum, which will help close the digital divide and increase academic outcomes for our school community. So thank you, Mayor. When we asked, we came to you and said, this is what we need. You answered the call once again, and something that is critical and beneficial to the students of Columbus. So again, thank you to you, and thank you to City Council, Elizabeth Brown, who's representing today. Thank you so much for your ongoing commitment and partnership for all of our students that we serve in this great city. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dixon, and thanks for your continued dedication to the students and families of the district. Now I'd like to ask our president of Columbus City School Board of Education, President Jennifer Adair. President Adair, any comments you'd like to share today?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mayor Ginther. Just as you announced an equity agenda, so too did the Columbus Board of Education as it seated its new board this January. And equitable learning starts now. And we know that we have to achieve equity by working together. And this idea of equity builds our future. Salbona. It's a Zulu greeting, meaning we see each other, we acknowledge each other, and we recognize each other. Our present-day situation of how we have to reimagine our village, our delivery model, really supporting our children, really encompasses this idea of equity. We see each other, we acknowledge each other, we recognize each other. Each of us has a role in helping to protect, educate, and support our children, especially in this new era that we find ourselves in. Things like technology, social emotional learning, health and safety, all lead to equitable learning and opportunities for our children, opportunities for our city. And changes of equity have to come inside and outside of the classroom and school building. It really is an exciting time for Columbus, for the students of Columbus City Schools, and for our entire community. And we all have a part. Community, our village is incredibly important. And so I want to thank you, Mayor, City Council, our congressional delegation, on behalf of the school board, of the districts, of our district, of our students and our staff, for really helping to see, to recognize and acknowledge our students and our needs, and helping us to meet our equity agenda going forward. We are all in this together, and it takes all of us. So thank you so much.
Thank you, President Adair, for all of your leadership, especially in these challenging times, and grateful for your thoughtfulness, your leadership, and your commitment to getting the very best for children and families in this community. Nothing in our city gets done without great partnership, and one of our biggest partners is Columbus City Council. We couldn't ask for a greater advocate for outstanding public education on our legislative team than President Pro Tem Liz Brown. Councilmember Brown, thank you so much for your support and partnership on this effort, and would love for you to share a few words if you would.
Thank you so much, Mayor. And I'm really glad to be able to join this announcement today for the self-evident reasons how important it is for our city. What a no-brainer investment, or what a no-brainer it is to invest in public education. Not only because it's the right thing to do, but it helps us build a better city in the future. And it's vitally important that we continue to take necessary steps today to protect the health and safety of our community. I have to say, not just as a city council member, but also as an incoming CCS parent, I owe a lot of gratitude to you, Dr. Dixon, and you, Board President Adair, for your work to balance the needs of reopening academic instruction this fall. It's not easy. We all know kids turn to school for so many things besides learning. School provides peer relationships, mentors and trusted adults, safe and reliable care for working parents, and access to food and nutrition. Add to that list the importance of balancing the safety of our teachers and families with the ongoing academic needs of students, and these two women on the line with us are facing a monumental task. So thank you. No matter how this school year looks, our students simply must have these basic technology tools to help them access online instructions. Technology on its own cannot overcome many of the obstacles our students face as they learn and grow. We know that. But without it, we have nowhere to begin. In a moment of American life, when brave voices have amplified a generational conversation about racial equity and justice, we must remember that education is a cornerstone of that work. As we navigate a school year like none of us has ever seen, I am calling every one of us to support our students today and to double down on our investments in making up what we will have lost once this pandemic does end. The work will go on. The work is huge now, and it will persist. It is simply unfair and impractical to expect our school districts to solve all the challenges brought by COVID-19 on their own. And that's why we're here today, because we all must do our part. And honestly, I have to say, that goes for every level of government. We are grateful for CARES Act support that allows us to make this investment today, but there is more work to be done. At the federal level, Rob Portman must use his powerful position in the majority party on the U.S. Senate Finance Committee to pass the HEROES Act and send nearly $250 billion to our nation's school. At the state level, our governor must lead a bold effort to bring down infections in Ohio, so our youngest generation no longer must pay for the mistakes of adults. And for us at the local level, it means continued close work with our school systems to ensure children in Columbus have every chance to learn and grow despite our health crisis. Access to digital learning opportunities is crucial for the new realities of this pandemic. And our investment today is a short-term step to connect families and students to those opportunities. We must continue our fight to support kids and families who are struggling to adjust to new realities. Thank you again for the commitment of everyone on this line, to our students, and to Board President Adair, and to Dr. Dixon for your focus on building the best possible school year for all of our kids. I'd like to turn things back over to Mayor Ginther.
Thank you, President Pro Tem, and thank you for all of your incredible leadership and advocacy on behalf of children and families in our community, and great collaboration during a very busy time for council. And I knew that you wanted to make sure that we took action as a city in partnership with the district before the council recess. And so grateful for all the work that you and your team have done to get us to the point we are now. Before we open the floor to questions, I want our media partners to know that we have a couple of other people on the line to help answer questions. Director Sam Orth of the Department of Technology, Director Michael Stevens of the Department of Development. Now I'd like to open up to questions. We're going to use the raised hand function. You should see a hand button next to your name. Click on that to raise your hand. We'll unmute you one at a time to answer your questions. Be sure to unclick the hand after we've answered the question and click it again if you have another question or a follow-up. If you could let us know your name and the media affiliate that you're with when you ask your question, that would be very helpful. I think our first question is from Sean Lanier.
Yes, this is Sean Lanier with NBC4. I have kind of two questions that are directed toward Dr. Dixon. What is the policy? How are you guys going to get these Chromebooks out to the students, knowing that there will be some issues with transportation and things of that nature? And does this knock off any of the money that you are looking at as far as that total budget? I know you talked about the number of $100 million in addition going into this year. Does this investment from the city help knock that dollar amount down?
So thank you, Sean. So we will use a system similar to what we use in the spring to distribute our Chromebooks. So we will work with our building principals and our other leaders to maybe modify that system a little more so that we will have a little more touch points with our families and our students as we distribute them. So we are still working on that plan, but we will, once we have those verified, we will post that information how we would distribute those. But similar to what we did in the spring, and as we met with our families, our students, and gave them out from one building touch point. The second piece is, yes, our CARES Act dollars, we were looking to, we have to purchase a lot of PPE. And so what we didn't want to do is take from our kids, because a lot of times, you know, this money was given to offset some of those additional costs. But a lot of times that these dollars you take away from funding that is directly, that could be used for our kids and to close a lot of those achievement gaps. So that's why I went to the mayor and said, you know, here's an opportunity for us to partner, and we don't have to worry about trying to figure out how much of CARES Act dollars we're going to get, and then possibly have to use those dollars to buy PPE and not get the services or the devices that we know that our students need for learning. So again, we're still adding up the amount of money that we're going to need to reopen, but this will allow us to make sure that our students have their academic needs met, and that's with that device. You know, as the mayor spoke earlier, and also Ms. Brown, we know that technology is going to be the lever of our future. It is here to stay, and we want to make sure our students have an advantage, and that having that Chromebook is like having a textbook. And we're going to make sure that they have their curriculum on that Chromebook, and they have that with them at all times. They don't have to borrow one from their sibling. They have that information right at their fingertips. They have that learning tool, and we wanted to make sure that happened. And we're again grateful to the city that they helped to make this happen for our students.
I think our next question, unless Councilmember Brown, President Dare, any additional comments or anything, just interrupt me if you want to speak to any of these questions. Our next question is from Mark Ferenchak.
Thanks. Is the school district going to be pursuing any additional funding beyond this for other technological improvements or advancements such as Wi-Fi and other things that students may need beyond Chromebooks?
President Dare, Dr. Dixon, either one you want to respond?
So at
I'll
this,
start.
okay, go ahead.
All right, I'll start. So the district is always looking at opportunities to look for additional funding. I think, as you know, President Brown said, education a lot of times gets the short stick in terms of funding. And so we have to be creative. The district itself is looking at other ways, including creating a foundation in our own name so that we can accept different donations. We also have talked about looking for other grants. A lot of this work is done through partnership, just like this opportunity with the city, other organizations and other opportunities for partnership are essential to ensuring that we have enough funds to make sure that every student has what they need. And I know that Dr. Dixon has other, things and other ways of looking at the budget, but yeah, we're always looking for additional ways to bring more dollars into our district. Dr. Dixon?
Dr. Dixon, any additional comments?
No, I think, Mayor, as Jennifer stated, that we're always looking for partnerships. And then I think people should know, we should emphasize, we have over 50,000 students. So this is a start. And prior to now, our district is not currently a one-to-one district. And so we're going to use this opportunity that we learned from the spring, that technology has to be the lever. And we have to make sure that our kids have access not only to a device, also to Wi-Fi. And yes, we are working with our families and other partners too, to make sure that our students and families have access to Wi-Fi in the short term, as we know there's some other long-term solutions that are being worked on.
Mark, do you have a follow-up question?
I was wondering if teachers themselves have any additional requests that they make to either the administration or the school board to help them out in the situation, this unprecedented situation that they're facing in terms of technology that they'll need or other support that they'll need beyond this.
Yes, so one of the things we announced June 30th is that we're pushing our school year opening back to September 8th. And that is to give our organization 2 weeks of professional development for everyone. And that is making sure that teachers know how to use technology in very innovative ways. Other staff members can use technology to support our teachers in the classroom. And yes, our teachers many teachers did so many creative lessons in the spring that they said they needed more technology to use this fall. So our teacher teams and our technology teams have been working to make sure that we have those additional tools that will be available for our teachers to use this fall. So the answer is yes. And we know we have also a small working group that's also looking to even provide more assistance for our teachers. We're going to know more about that technology plan at the end of the school year. But yes, teachers have utilized this opportunity to do some very creative lessons. We're going to record many of those lessons. They have really been leaders in many areas of making sure that we're using technology to reach students in ways that students, I think, have been really captivated and really wanted to make sure they stay in touch with their teachers, and they use technology all the time anyway in many ways. So this opportunity has really allowed our teachers to use their creativity, and we are going to support them in the classroom with our curriculum in order to do that further in this coming school year.
And another question from Sean.
Yes, just another question for Dr. Dixon, kind of relating to the teachers. Now that you have this opportunity to go one-to-one with the technology to the students, I know a lot of teachers have been worried about going back to the school, inside the school. Does this kind of help you all become more flexible in the case in the future that maybe there is an outbreak in COVID and that you have to go completely remotely to accommodate both students and teachers and families? Does this help you all with that flexibility?
Yes, we always, when we think about the spring, we were able to utilize computers that we had to make sure our students had and families had access. And yes, it does allow us to first ensure safety. We want to make sure that our students and families are safe. And then if we have to do more learning remotely, then yes, every single child would have access to technology, and there are no students that's going to need to borrow technology from another sibling. Then families, we also going to be able to train our families on how to check on their students, how to make sure that they're engaged in learning. So yes, it allows us to train teachers, train our students, our parents, and make sure we're using technology in multiple ways in order to have that outreach that we need. So the answer is yes. The answer is yes to your question.
I just chime in really fast, just to make it clear, the initiative to go one-to-one was always part of the strategy of the district.
Yeah, right.
What the situation has done now is make it move faster. And so we're good and bad of where we are. But we know that it is essential that technology is included in 21st century education. So we are not reacting, and we aren't solely using this technology to solve the virtual learning in COVID. This is about our future, and we're really excited that we're able to partner with the city on this.
It's a great point, President Adair. And for some, based on the source of funding of this with the CARES dollars and so forth, and obviously with the global pandemic we're in, but it's important for us to keep top of mind short-term and long-term goals of enhancing virtual learning, closing that gap in the digital divide and access to virtual learning. Having these Chromebooks, internet access can be an incredible equalizer, with respect to education for now and into the future. And so very much appreciate that point. I think, Mark Faircheck, did you have another question, Mark?
I'm good right now. Thanks.
You got it. If there aren't any other questions from the press at this point, just offer an opportunity for any closing comments. President Adair, President Pro Tem Brown, Dr. Dixon, any comments?
Just I appreciate your leadership and having this on the agenda on the 27th, so we can provide some certainty to our schools and our kids and our families who need some certainty right now. Heck, I need a lot more certainty in my life too.
Yeah, I was teasing Dr. Dixon and President Adair the other day. We were talking about all the professional development that our educators and teachers were needing. I put in a plug as a parent of a grade school. I need some professional development to navigate this virtual learning that we're attempting to do now. I'm the butt of many jokes, IT related, in our household, and so I need some help. But Dr. Dixon or President Adair, any comments to close us out?
Yes, I would just like to say I want those families and people who are watching and listening to really understand how important this partnership is. We have over 50,000 students that we serve, and we did not have enough devices for each of our students because of this pandemic. We didn't. But now we've made that decision in the spring that technology has to be the lever that we use, and we must become a one-to-one district. The city of Columbus stepped up and said, we will help you. We will help you close that gap so that your students would not have to share devices. They would not have to wonder if they're going to connect with their teachers. They're not have to wonder, they don't have to even go to the parking lot of a building just to try to use a device. This is so important. You have helped us close this gap, and we are so appreciative for this. This is big news for our students. 20,000 more students are going to have their device because of you, and we are so appreciative. This is what partnership is. This is true partnership when the city can wrap its arms around the school district and say, we are here, we're in this together. When we say one Columbus, one district, this is what this partnership is. And I am, as the leader of this organization, I am so grateful to you, for your commitment to helping our students, and you will see some results. We're going to make sure you see the results and the impact of what you've been able to provide for our students. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dixon. President Adair?
I mean, I really can't say it any better than what our superintendent just said. I'll just close again with that concept that I said, Sal Bona. We see each other, we acknowledge each other, we recognize each other, and all of us are in this together to really fight for equity across our city. And again, just thank you to the city for being an excellent partner. Thank you to all of our other partners that are out there. And as long as we, keep on this path together, we're going to make huge change for our city. So again, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all, and thanks for taking the time this afternoon, and to all the members of the press that have joined us, and the directors and staff from both the district and the city. Have a great afternoon, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.